We will kick off with the same boring ass question because I still haven't thought of a better one, guys. Simple introduction. Who are you, and just a quick background on yourselves for people that aren't familiar yet.
Um, I am Tyler. I play in a virtue, and I like cats.
Yeah, solid.
I like cats. They're pretty cool, and I love music, and I love talking about mental health.
Yeah.
Like, uh, uh, oh, all right. Okay.
Starting
I
us,
guess
hey, starting us off strong, dude.
Yeah.
guess that's where we're going. My name is Damon. I sing and I play guitar and I'm virtue. I also have a cat, so I think I like cats. Um, I do enjoy music quite a bit, and I guess I'm stuck with Tyler. So hey,
Yeah.
Yeah,
there's
sorry
I
about
that.
that.
I feel like you don't post your cat as often as Tyler does, though, Damon. So I think he likes
No,
cats a little more.
there's a word for that. It's called obsession. No, my guy, he's
His cat is actually obsessed with him, though.
yes, my guy he's basically a dog because
Yeah.
anytime I come in, it's like he hops on my, like, he'll get on all of his back foot, like back legs. He talks, he chirps, trills, like it's nonstop, like wakes me up. I don't actually, what's kind of crazy is like I don't have to ever set an alarm clock because he'll wake me up at the same time every single day.
Yeah. Yeah. My cat can be that way too. I have a cat, guys. Don't know if you knew that. So we're in good company here.
Let's
Um,
go.
yeah, yeah. My very similar to yours, Damon. Like the second she hears the garage door open, she's at the door waiting for me and like chirping, trilling all that. Yeah, I've had her for man 5 or 6 years now, and I'm good with it. Like dogs are cool, but cats are also self-sustained way better than dogs. So,
Yeah.
being out on the road like you guys are, I know you have, friends and whatnot that help take care of the pets, but still, you can kind of just give a cat a bucket of food and a bucket of water and leave for a week.
Yep. Oh yeah. No, and mine, it's like they love my mom's cats. So it's like they all kind of like play together and have grown up with each other. So it works out nicely.
Yeah, yeah, that's dope. So like we were saying before the technical start of the episode, been about 3 years since we last had a chat like this. A lot has changed, both in your lives and in the music, right? So let's go over some of the stuff that's happened over the last few years in the music, because I feel like the band is just climbing that ladder. You've done more festivals, you've done a shitload of headlining tours, you've done some really cool support tours. What's life feel like now in a virtue in 2026?
Oh man. 2026, it's still, it's the steady incline, right? It feels like we're trugging along, we're chucking along and checking off some really cool things. In the meantime, like you said, I've had a chance to play some bucket list festivals, do some things again that we've been able to, we've had our eye on. Just kind of keep doubling down on what we've been doing, as we get a little bit older and more wise, hopefully in some aspects. It's, you just keep trucking along, keep seeing where this dream, this kind of thing that is greater than all of us is going to take us. And, you know, what's been awesome too is like, since the last time that we spoke, it's like, people have been like, hey, where's the new music? Where is this? And it's like, it took a little longer than maybe we anticipated, but at the same time, there's that adage of like good things come to those who wait. And I think for us, it was like we did want to make sure that what was coming next was going to be, representative of where we are at, spiritually, physically, mentally, and something that could be, represented properly in the world right now. And all that is being done. I mean, we put out, 3 singles so far. We got Death of the Altar, The Art of Love. What's It Like to Be Happy is probably the most poignant of the three because it's like, it's a literal, like, age old kind of question of like,
Yeah.
man, all of us are searching for something that drives us, if it's a purpose, if it's a thing, whatever it is. And especially nowadays with everything going on, it's something that it's not a one size fits all thing, and really encapsulates kind of where we're at as a band too. You know, the ups and downs of, you get to do a lot of cool things, but at the same time, it's like sometimes people don't realize, or the magnitude of like the toll that it can take on you behind the scenes.
Yeah.
I would say for a long time, bands, and still to this day, social media, our relationship with it, people glorify what they want to, they put out what they want to, and, leave all the other stuff by the wayside. I think bands have done a better job, certain musicians have done a better job of letting people in to be like, hey, if you see somebody doing this, it doesn't mean that it's X, or it doesn't mean that it's Y. It's like sometimes there's a lot of smoke and mirrors. Sometimes it's, again, people think that I can only do this thing this one way. And it's like, no, there's uh, so many different paths. There's so many different things. And again, for us, it's like we've kind of opened up that door to people too, where it's, hey, we do get to do all this cool stuff, but at the same time, there is a lot that we show you, but then there's a lot of things that other people don't see. And it's an interesting balancing act. And
Yeah.
as long as we, play music or do whatever we're going to do, it's like we're willing to balance it and try to make our dreams come true, and, hopefully put some good out into the world. That's the ultimate goal. So,
Yeah. Tyler, anything you want to add on that before the next question I've got?
Uh, I mean, just the fact that yes, it's been minutes since we chatted, and a lot has changed. But I think one of the best things about seeing progress is being able to like step away from basically like being able to like take a step back and look at everything that you've done, right? You talking about all of that stuff, you're like, yeah, you guys have done this, you've done this, you've done this. And I'm sitting there like, oh, right, we have, and it's really easy to get caught up in the moment. It's really easy to get caught up in like where we are right now or where we want to be. And instead of like enjoying the process and enjoying the journey, I mean, we've gone through a lot as a band in the last few years. And just to be able to start putting all of that new music out is very, very excited about it. I know we all are, and I'm really hoping that people resonate with it like they did with Omen. And so far, so good. So I would say we're on the right track.
Yeah. And I think, it's awesome to hear that, because I do think that some people need that reminder sometimes to take a step back and look at the whole picture of what has happened and what has been accomplished. And, Damon, to your point, social media, as cool as it is, can also be a very tricky and dangerous thing where comparison starts to happen, because again, it's just that snapshot of this exact one moment that I wanted you to see. You didn't see
yeah.
all the other shit that happened to get there. And it's really easy to fall in that trap, right? Where somebody posts something and you're like, fuck, that could have been me, or like, why isn't that us, or whatever. And it's like, well, yes, but also like you haven't seen the 13 weeks of them absolutely busting their ass to get to that point either. Or you didn't
13
see
weeks
the
or years,
yeah, for sure.
resources. Dude, it's funny they even said, again, I woke up this morning and opened up my phone and literally I did that. I went, man, and closed my phone because I was like,
Yeah.
I just saw something that in hindsight, I was like, no, you know what? Hey, that was just a moment of thing. But it's like, hey, number one, I probably shouldn't be looking on social media that early anyways when I'm just getting up. It just so happened that I was like, I'm getting my phone's ringing and dinging and doing all this. I looked at it, but it's a moment of weakness, but it's also just, that's kind of like the society that we live in too, where it's like alarms go off or notifications are going off or this. And it's like, I've had to kind of try to workshop myself out of that of like, hey, don't get on any of the social stuff as soon as you're getting up. Give yourself a chance to actually like, go upstairs and drink some water, open the door, go outside, go get the mail, breathe, like
Yeah.
let everything settle in first. And then as part of your daily routine, because there is a level of having to be involved online in order to stay current, in order to stay in the know, you know, give yourself a chance to breathe before it's almost like a job.
Hmm.
In essence, it's like, then figure it out, then go there and then start browsing and doing all the things you need to. But yeah, dude, it's again, I'd be lying. Like I said, I woke up today and was just like, looked at the thing, went, nah, ugh,
Right.
ugh.
But I think some of that is, obviously it's going to make me sound old, but whatever. I'm 41. Times have changed. And, like our parents and grandparents, you woke up and you read the newspaper. But now, like for our generation and younger, it's like, no, you get up and you get on social media, you check whatever, like you follow certain people on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, and that's quote unquote the news for you. And it's like, well, okay, but pause, like you said, like do some other stuff to make sure your mind is in a spot before you consume that sort of thing.
Yeah, no, it's hilarious too, because again, the news might, like the newspaper and all that stuff might have been even worse, because it's like you're getting all your information from one outlet
Right.
that is being manipulated and controlled and this and that. Now, I guess, I don't know, for us it could be also bad because there's 1,000 of them that are all spewing nonsense at,
Right.
at the same time, and it's like, you wake up and somebody's like, raptors are about to attack us, and you're like, oh,
I was going to say, then throw AI in the mix, right? Like,
oh,
shit, we
dude,
don't even know what it is anymore.
and it's crazy because I was looking at a post of something, I can't remember what it was, and like it's an actual fact. It was a thing that is in recorded human history. And the fact that when I looked in the comments, somebody's like AI, I was like, no, that's all you need to do. And some people won't look beyond that. They'll just be like, oh, okay. Like it's insane. It's insanity. I'm like, this is crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, it is wild. And then it's also such a dangerous thing too, because obviously the people that aren't looking past it or whatever, and they're just reposting, and it becomes this weird like fear mongering thing depending on what the article is and all that. And it's like, did anybody like take 2 seconds to proofread this, or like just fact check it at all? It's wild. um let's talk about, again, you've been on the road. We'll kind of start off with part of your journey, Damien. You've been sober successfully for quite a while now. What are you on? Like year 12 now? Is it more
Oh,
than
dude,
that?
no, this will be year 19.
Is it really that far?
Yeah.
Wow. Super impressive. So congrats on that. I couldn't remember from the last time we talked where you were at exactly in the journey. I knew it was more than a decade. So
Yeah,
coming
yeah.
up on 2 now, that's crazy. Talk about, we made comments about like the festivals and tours and things like that. Obviously, being in a band, it's kind of hard to avoid situations to some degree that are kind of putting that back in your face, right? And like you've obviously come to terms with how to deal with people drinking and partying and doing all those things. What's it like, you know at this level? Like you said, it's a steady incline, so things are getting bigger. That that monster kind of gets a little bigger with it, right?
hmm Um, what's kind of crazy, as the further that we get along, and then the further that I've gotten in like my own journey. What just happened?
Tyler's cat knocked his camera over.
That darn auto.
That's really funny, dude. I was like, please don't. And then he did.
He said, "Oh, Dave, you got something important to say?" Nah,
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
just kidding.
Hey, stop interrupting him. That's rude.
He's like, "I don't care, pet me."
I know. Continue. Sorry.
Anyways, there we go. As it pertains to the band or music or just like my journey in general, in some ways it's actually easier. A lot of people think it's like, yeah, music, metal, rock, all this stuff. It's like it is synonymous with the, drugs, sex, drinking, all that type of stuff. It's kind of cool because there are a lot more outlets. There's a lot more bands that do embrace that type of lifestyle where it's like it's not as like party centric. Um, and a lot of times, like even when we're on tour and doing all these things, it's like, not everybody at our camp is like, completely sober, but at the same time, it's like none of us, they don't party. It's not like everybody's going out to the clubs and doing all this crazy stuff. It's like somebody might enjoy a drink here and there or do whatever it is. So for me, it makes it easy in that sense because I know that I'm around people that are more responsible with their stuff if they can, if they decide to moderate. And when it comes to other bands and those places, it's like we do a lot ourselves. Like we have pretty minimal crew when we do go out and tour anyways.
Yeah.
And I think that actually helps quite a bit because you are treating your passion as a daily job and a career. It would be different if, for me specifically, I will help TM us. I usually do merch. So it's like, inventory and actual selling, doing all that stuff day to day. Tyler has he does, some stage managing. He'll put the rig together and do, all that type of stuff. Everybody has a dedicated thing that does require a lot from them. And what's nice about that is it does keep you busy throughout the day. It's like, we know, hey, we're going to get up. It's going to be showers. It's going to be this. Get to the venue. As soon as we get to the venue, boom, I have X amount of time to do this. So it's, in some ways, it's not allowing for idle time. Number one, it's not allowing for you to kind of sit there and, your brain to wander or do these other things, which is, a part of the steps. It's a part of the program of like, find things to occupy your time that are constructive and can keep you busy. And by the time that, we're usually done with, setting up, sound checking, getting, the merch ready to go, if there's VIP stuff or anything extracurricular, daily life stuff that might happen at home, you're handling stuff on the home front. By the time you get to doors, it's like your day is pretty much zapped. And then once you get to doors, guess what? We're working with everybody's getting ready in the back. You're doing your warm-ups. We're doing everything else. So, and then by the end of the night, it's like, cool, I just want to eat some food, hang out a little bit, and enjoy some company. And having that kind of routine definitely helps on the road because even in like the bigger settings, you go to a festival or if you go to somewhere, it's like it does allow for you to not be as hands-on. You're still, maybe this is just for me, it's like we'll go out and we watch the bands. Like it's like, hey, I want to go watch this person, I want to go watch this person, and then we're gonna go get, catering and then hang out, do this. So it's like for me, it feels easier because I know that this entire world, everything that we're occupying, like if I kept doing the stuff that I was doing, this wouldn't be possible. Like, and I know this may come off as one way, and I hope it doesn't to anybody that's listening, but it's like, yeah, if I was just simply a concert goer, like if I wasn't in a band, if I didn't play an instrument, then it might be different because, I would still probably love heavy music. I would still love all this, but I would probably be more susceptible to drinking and doing some stupid stuff because it's like, I would just treat it as more of like an outlet. Whereas like, because I'm involved with it, there's a level of responsibility that comes along with, hey, to be able to be creative and to travel, to meet people, it's a privilege. It's hard work. It's a responsibility. And music for me is not just simply an outlet. It actually is how people like to coin it. It's a lifestyle. It is a way of living that is afforded because I keep one thing out, and that is substance. You know what I mean? So it's just something that, again, day to day, it's not taken for granted. I don't take it for granted. And I want to see it. I want to try to take us as far as I possibly can. And I know the rest of my guys know that it's like, man, if I was messing around doing a bunch of dumb stuff and everything else, it's like, there's no chance. Just wouldn't happen. So.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it is a good reminder. And I agree. Hopefully people don't take that the wrong way on like, if I was just attending things, like, sure, there's probably some openings for it. But I think the awesome reminder is like to fill that space, with ideally constructive things, not just doom scrolling on TikTok to avoid things or whatever. Because there's the old adage about idle hands, are the devil's playground or whatever. And it's
Yes.
like, okay, that's extremely true, but also like you can't just do busy work to do busy work. Like if you don't
Yeah.
feel like you're getting anything out of it, it's not going to help you get through anything.
Yep. Absolutely. No, and that's where, even like we were talking about with what's it like to be happy, it's like there's a sense of purpose that comes along with what you're looking for. Because there's plenty of people, it's like they keep themselves busy, but it's like if you feel like you're just on like a hamster wheel going nowhere, that's almost just as bad
Mm-hmm.
as doing nothing, because you're in the same spot. And in some ways it's almost worse because you are putting in effort, you are exerting yourself, and you might not see the reward, or what, something tangibly good happening. And that's kind of the awesome thing about music, is like it's as brutal as it can be. It's it truly is a combination of things. It's choices, it's talent, it's hard work, it's luck to a degree. But the other nice thing that I've thought about too, and try to put into perspective for people, is like in a lot of ways you create your own luck.
Yeah.
Like when someone's like, man, they had this break or they had this thing or whatever it is, it's like you have to work and get yourself to a point where when an opportunity comes, you're ready to go. You're that version of you is like, boom, on to the next thing. Where somebody else that, they might find themselves in a similar situation, but they're not able to fully capitalize because of choices, because of
Yeah.
whatever, road that they decided to travel. And sometimes it's not really either good or bad choices. It's just simply choices. You just
Yeah.
have to decide what's going to be good for you, what's going to be good for you and your purpose, and getting you to where you want to be at that
Yeah.
point.
Yeah. And I forget who it was. There was an actor, and I'm going to have to paraphrase the quote, but they were very similar thing. They were talking about, somebody asked him about being so lucky to get a role or whatever, and they said something along the lines of, uh, "In my world, luck is just hard work and preparation always. So I'm always preparing for the next step. I'm always working hard towards the next step. Luck is that I was ready." And I thought that was a really cool way to look at it, because like, yes, there's quote unquote cosmic luck. Sometimes things just fall in your lap, but more often than not, the luck is you busted your ass, you were prepared for the opportunity, and you can step into it.
Absolutely. And it, what do they say? Like timing is the biggest myth of all time.
Yeah.
Like there's no such thing as a good time. It's just things are gonna happen when they're gonna happen. It's just like you said, it's whether or not you are ready when those things happen.
Yeah,
So
for sure. Um, Tyler, stepping over to you, we've talked about the music taking a little longer to come out, and you've been pretty vocal about the last about year and a half that you had, some pretty rough struggles. Talk a little bit about, the struggles themselves, but also like balancing that with the band and being on the road, and trying to work your own way through things while looking for success with the band.
Yeah. So, one of the biggest things that I try to, preach, try to talk about is just being comfortable talking about the things that you're going through. Now, my situation obviously is a lot different. I am in some sort of way, shape, or form, in the public eye. So there's not really a lot of hiding that you can do with that kind of stuff. So I've always been someone that's been like, hey, talking about your feelings, talking about the things that you're going through, it is going to make you feel better. It is going to take a lot of weight off of your shoulders. And I know a lot of people think it's cringe. There are also a lot of people out there that just aren't comfortable, talking about their private life in a more public way, and that's okay. I don't think everybody needs to be like me, but they do need to be somebody that talks about it, whether that's in therapy, whether that's with, somebody that they trust, somebody, even a stranger. There's so many resources out there. And that's just one of my biggest things that I just try to preach and tell people is like, things are never going to get better if you don't talk about it. If you keep it bottled up, bottled in, um, there's a lot of anger builds up, a lot of resentment, a lot of frustration, embarrassment, all like just all of that stuff, and it can get very overwhelming. And um, hurt people. That's just the name of the game. Misery loves company. There's so many different ways you can say that, but when you are not feeling good or you are in such a dark mental state, you don't care who you hurt. You don't care about any of that because you're not thinking in that way. You're not thinking clearly. And um, yeah, I dealt a lot of that. Yeah, I dealt with a lot of that in the past. Honestly, even since 2023. I had shoulder surgery in February of 2023. We opened up 2 shows for Bad Omens late 2022, and I dislocated my shoulder during one of the shows. And it turns out I tore some stuff, and yeah, I'd have surgery, and I think that was like the pretty low point for me. Like I feel like that's kind of where this roller coaster of life has kind of started.
Yeah.
Just because, like you put in the work to get to somewhere, you start seeing progress, and then, things keep uh, falling back. We had to cancel a festival spot that we had in 2023 because I had to, nurse my shoulder. We had to turn down a tour, and it was just like really hard for me to understand why this is happening. Like, and even though I know I knew my band understood it, it still doesn't feel good being the only reason why you can't do those things. So I feel like that's kind of where a lot of that started. And then um yeah, then I started feeling a lot better, started getting, I lost a lot of weight in 2023, and I got into a relationship, and at the time I was really, I was feeling great about it. Like things are going my way, right? And then it's just like everything just kind of goes downhill from there.
Yeah.
And I think that's where a lot of my problems lied, is that I was trying to, like I felt the pressure to be happy. I felt the pressure to be in a good mood. Because that's like, in this day and age of music, that's where a lot of people look at is the vocalist. They look at you to be the heartthrob of the band. They look at you to be the stop tickling me. Sorry, my other cat's licking my leg. And I like cats, I promise. But yeah, I feel like I felt a lot of pressure to just be somebody that I wasn't ready to be. But it's also like I don't need to be that. I just need to be myself. Everything else will fall into place, right? And that's where I think I struggled with that balance. So, you know, dealing with that mental battle, we were starting to see progress with, we're getting some more tours. We opened for our friends in Imminence on their first full US tour, and it was an amazing tour. So good. But then, we went to we did a tour with Upon a Burning Body in summer of 2024, and we had to go to Canada. And Damon unfortunately could not get in. So that, I think that was in my head too. I was just like, man, like we have all this momentum, but there's always something that keeps setting us back, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like going through the motions on all of those, going through the feelings, I got into a pretty bad headspace. I wasn't taking care of my health. I mean, I was gaining weight, wasn't caring about, what I was eating. I wasn't working out, doing all the stuff, even though I knew I needed to. Um, and then we went to Australia in November of 2024. And immediately after, we were going to come back and do a full US tour with opening up for the Ghost Inside.
Mm-hmm.
So here we are in Australia, you know, having the time of our lives. Like, this is so cool. We're getting to do this. Like, I'm so excited that we're over here. And then we're about to go home and be on the biggest tour that we've been on. And Damon gets a call saying that the tour is canceled. So again, we have these on this high, and then we have something that brought us back down. And and I know they were dealing with a lot of family stuff, and obviously everything with the bus crash and stuff. They felt like they were, stretching themselves thin. And as again somebody that loves talking about mental health and loves being able to, I really care about that. It's one of those things where you can absolutely sympathize with them and understand, like, yes, this sucks that we already had a merch bill. We already had things, like, we were ready to go. This is, like, I think a couple weeks before the tour is supposed to start. So, it's like a gut punch, right? And you have those moments where that could have broke us, right? That absolutely could have broke us. But then we were like, okay, well, we're just gonna use this time to write some more music, do all this. And we did. We utilized our time wisely and all of that. But it's like, as soon as the start of 2025 happened, my like whole world just kind of flipped upside down. My mom has been dealing with a lot of health issues. And then shortly after that, we went on tour with Catch Your Breath in Europe. Went through a breakup, second or third day of tour. Luckily, I was surrounded by, my best friends, being there for me to support me during that. And, I had a great time still. It was hard, but we made it through, and then I came, when we were still out there, my dad started having some health issues, was in the hospital, and I couldn't be there. Thousands of miles away from home, and I couldn't be there. And I think having to deal with all of that, having to deal with, self-image issues, deal with my mental health, my physical health, and then going into the studio, mid last year, there was all these feelings were fresh, and being able to talk about these things and being able to tell people, like, there's days I didn't want to get out of bed. I still have days that I don't want to get out of bed. But the difference is as I know I have a lot of responsibilities that I have to, attend to, because this band is not just me. This band is, it is the four of us, and it is also our families. It is the people that have believed in us, the people that have invested their time, their money, and, and just like being there for us during the hardships. And it took me a while to get out of that, that mental state of, me, like I'm miserable, like, wah, but
Yeah.
I've never been someone that I just try to make everything about myself. If that does happen, my friends and family are pretty good at being like, what's going on? Because this is not you. And being able to have people that ask those questions, and being able to have people that know who you are and know, like, that wasn't you. I think that was a wake up call for myself too, because when you have multiple people asking you, like, what's going on, you start thinking, man, this is not good. Like, something's got to
Yeah.
change, and I was going through all of that, and I woke up sometime mid-September. Yeah, I think it was like September 14th. I got super drunk. I drank so much the night before playing Rocket League with my brother and a friend. And I remember I woke up and I was like, dude, I can't be like this anymore. I can't do this. I've got to change, man. And so I stopped drinking. Just I wanted to take a break. I wanted to I wanted to say, let's do one tour sober, just one tour.
Yeah.
And that turned into two tours and it's turned into, I just had 9 months of not drinking. Um, and it's just one of those things, like, I just don't feel the need to. And I still feel like I have a lot of mental stuff that I need to get figured out. And I know that me drinking is just going to put me it's going to set me back. So being able to sit there and look at those moments and look at how, even though I stopped drinking, I I was like, there were times I was awful to my band. I'm not going to beat around the bush. Like, I, I was very, short fused with them. Anytime they asked me a question, I would get upset at them, or I'd feel like they're, coming at me instead of it just being like, no, we're just wondering, like, what's going on? Like, why is this happening? And took a lot of self-reflection. And, we did those two tours. I was arguably in the worst physical shape I've ever been in. It was really hard to do those shows. I won't even lie about that. Um, and, it was just hard being away from home because that's where I felt most comfortable. So I took, I gave myself the rest of the year, and then I woke up a couple days before New Year's, and I told myself, we're going to change. We're going to change, not just for myself, but for everybody else, because they deserve that. I owe that to them. They have given me, grace. They have given me a lot of strength. They've given me a lot of love during the darkest times of my life. And, they deserve the best version of me. And I'm not saying we're 6 months into, I'm not saying I'm uh, anywhere close to where I would like to be or even the best version of myself, but I am better than what I was. I've down 40 pounds. I've created a little bit healthier lifestyle, and that's okay that I'm still struggling. But I think the best part about it is waking up, and like Damon said earlier about, not checking your phone right when you wake up. And it's just finding one thing a day. It's probably one of my favorite things that there's this book called Atomic Habits. And Atomic Habits, one of James Cleary, I think is his name. He even spoke in there. He's like, find one thing a day that you can do differently and change. That's it. And he's like, just imagine, you have 365 days in a year. Imagine you change one thing about your day. Now that can be like changing, something that you just changed yesterday, but changing that can be the thing, right?
Yeah.
But when you build those habits and those consistencies, your life is going to be a lot different a year ago than it was, or yeah, like today than it was a year ago. Now, if you just, and I'm going to go back to another thing that Damon said, timing is a myth because it's never a good time. If you sit there and say, oh, well, I'll do that next week, or I'll start working out today so I can be ready for tour in 3 weeks. No, like, I started in January. I'm not where I want to be by any means, but I am better than what I was. So I would say I'm on the path to being ready. And that is better than me being like, well, I have to eat better for 3 weeks now to get in the shape that I want. It's like, no, as long as I feel better on the road, that's all that matters to me. Like, looks are great. Obviously, like with losing weight, you're gonna look better. But I think in my mind, as long as I feel good internally, as long as I have built better habits, I'm gonna be in a better place than I was. And I hope people take that and know, like, no matter where you are at in your life, as long as you dedicate even 10 minutes or 15 minutes, go on a walk after you eat, go on a walk when you wake up, just eat something better during the day, it is going to change your life. And that is just something that I will always preach about because I'm a walking example of that. Like
Yeah.
I was in that same mindset of like it doesn't no, it's not going to change. It will if you put the work in.
Yeah, for sure. And there's there's a proverb or whatever you want to call it, similar to the best time to make a change mentality. And that proverb is the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, but the second best time is right now.
Yep.
And so, like, even if you feel like you missed your chance, like, oh, I should have done this 10 years ago, maybe you should have, but that's not
Yep.
stopping you from starting it today. And
It's
I think especially with both of you guys, I want to talk about kind of the mental health toolkit. And I think, some of the tools you guys talk about are obviously talking about mental health and writing music and things like that. But the cliche of the gym, right? Both of you are very involved in working out and that physical aspect, but the mind is absolutely tied to the body. So, talk about the mental health toolkit that you guys use to help pull yourselves out of those days.
One of the things I can say safely that I've learned from sobriety, and honestly, I'm in some counseling. I'm in two forms of counseling now. One is another like individualized version, and then another one is it's kind of like a couples therapy type of deal because I'm going to be a dad in October. So it's like
Congrats.
just better understanding people, better having that connection, unlearning some traumas and stuff that I've had from a long time ago that maybe needed to be resolved. And now it's like you're bringing a child into the world, and I don't want to be. I overthink, and I want to do the
Mm-hmm.
best that I can. But my therapist at least just framed it like hey, you've been on this path, so just take the one thing that is probably the easiest thing that you can do is like what Tyler was saying. It's like take a goal, take one thing. If you just accomplish that or can keep your mind focused on that one thing, you kind of shrink some of the expectation and some of the anxiety, and you take the fear out of it. You take the irrationalization, you take the false information that you might tell yourself of what could potentially happen, or you're going to start creating scenarios and just go day by day, little by little steps at a time, and you'll be amazed at where you're going to be at. Like he said, in even if it's a week, a couple weeks, month, whatever it is, it's slowing everything down. Very few people have the ability to like just I can always think 10 years ahead, or I can always think 5 years ahead. And even those people, those are just plans. Now, you can plan that far out, but you still have to have the mechanisms and the steps in place. You just don't go from, not doing something, then 10 years later, are a Fortune 500 CEO. It's like there's a lot of steps in
Yeah.
the middle. And, you know, it's not an overnight thing. It's not a one size magic pill, whatever the case may be. It's not winning the lottery, That's
Well, it kind of is winning the lottery, but
hey, lottery could do a lot of great. It could probably do a lot of
yeah,
bad too.
for sure.
It could exacerbate some of the more negative things if you haven't fixed them, you know,
Yeah.
by certain points. But it's kind of keeping everything in the present, like acknowledge the future, set up plan for the future, but then back it off and go, you know what? Hey, this is where I'm at today. If I'm not feeling the greatest, or my mental is like, put on something that will calm you, and then figure out like, hey, maybe I'm not able to give 100%, but I can give the 50% of what I can do. And then
Yeah.
my therapist, it took me a second to get it, but she's like, hey, even by you giving 50%, if you go to the gym and maybe you don't do the hardest workout of all time, you didn't sweat through 5 layers of clothing and this and that, but you went,
Yeah.
you still are in the habit. It's, this is a funny term because I like to play cards sometimes. When you play blackjack, there's going to be three outcomes in a hand. And people are like, oh, that's interesting. And it's like, you can either win, you can lose, or you can push. And somebody's like, oh, what's a push? A push means it's a net neutral.
Yeah.
The house doesn't win, but you don't win. And some people go, well, doesn't that mean you lose? And it's like, Did you lose your money? No, you didn't lose. It's
Yeah.
you maintain. Sometimes I think people do forget about, like, in the search for progress, you're going to maintain a lot more than you're going to progress. And that's the key of, like, when you have the bad days, can you maintain the progress that you've accumulated instead of backsliding? And honestly, also allowing yourself grace to, if you do backslide, if and when you do, because most of the time you will.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to necessarily be with, you know, drugs. It doesn't have to necessarily be with this. It's like, hey, Tyler could be like, man, I ate a whole pizza yesterday. And I go, okay. And it's like, well, that doesn't line up with, but it's like, okay, well, hey, you can look at it like that, or you can look at it as, if that's the only thing that you ate, then guess what? You just make up for it by
Right.
starting from zero, get back on your plan, and do the thing. And your body is going to recognize calories for what they are, but it's also just, hey, no harm, no foul, or hey, let's take this, move on, keep going, pick yourself back up, and don't cause yourself too much grief for having a mistake, having a moment of weakness or whatever it is, because we're human. They're going to happen. Nobody's perfect. But again, kind of what I was saying before, it's like the ability to maintain your progress, or to understand, if I do lose some ground, I know how to make it back up.
Right.
And also to not have to try to gain it all back at once. Take it again, step by step, because you also might realize, maybe I missed a step. Maybe I missed something that I needed, and I needed to backslide so that I can then take a real hard, objective look at what's going on. And you go, oh, okay. Because it's crazy. Again, and I'll compare this sometimes with music, is comparison, right? You're talking about that
Mm-hmm.
earlier. You see some bands are literally like an overnight success, to a degree. You actually can find out what was going on. And you go, oh, okay, so there was this, and this. But then you also see when something goes wrong, those people, that team, whoever's going on, they don't know the steps to get back to that, because it was just like, we're just going to put you here. We're going to prop this here. We're going to do this, or a series of events is going to put you here. But if you fall, you're never getting back there, because you don't know
Yeah.
how.
It's where one hit wonders come from, right? I mean,
You know,
we had that one solid thing and we never got back.
and sometimes, hey, I'm not hating on them hit wonders either, because it takes one
Hey,
song to change your life. You know what I
I was
mean?
going to say some of them are riding that, man.
Hey,
40 years later, they're riding that.
and those people are smart. They realize, like, hey, you know what? I was in this position, but now I'm going to take the steps. I'm going to do the thing where I'm going to kind of, work back to get to wherever I can. Maybe it's not this, but that's their own journey.
Yeah.
And in the case of a lot of other things, it's called, hey, look, if you didn't succeed doing this, it's okay to fail. That means, okay, let's tweak this. Let's try this. Boom. Oh, we're starting to do this. And it's like, I think for us, especially too, man, it's like, it's such an emotional thing for all of us. And I feel like with our backgrounds, with what we do and everything else, it's like, when it happens, and it already kind of has happened, when that kind of like perfect storm is there, it's like the sky's the limit. But we can also
Mm-hmm.
recognize and look at ourselves and be like, hey, like Tyler said, he's like, I might not have been the best version of myself, but I still did this. I still kept moving. I can say the same thing. Mike or Ryan, Mike, it's like, we're all work in progress. And, you know, we might look back at it, who knows, 10, 20 years from now, and you'd be like, man, there was so much going on during so many different peaks. But then you can look at it objectively and be like, man, you know what? It's kind of crazy that all this stuff happened. And then you can look at these different chapters and be like, you've done an amazing thing. And yet you still found a way to look at yourself and go, you know what? I still want to improve. I still want to move forward and try to figure out a way to keep tweaking and do all this. And you're just going to let everything else fall where it may afterwards.
Yeah, for sure. Tyler, your toolkit.
Yeah. So, I mean, I know I kind of already talked a lot about, things that I've done and stuff. So I'll just kind of reiterate that, piggyback off Damon, and that, starting therapy is I can't recommend it enough. You might have to go through a few different therapists just to find one that works for you. But eventually, once you do, it's going to be one of the best things you've ever done. And you don't even have to be going through a hard time to reap the benefits of therapy. Just being able to talk about your problems, talk about what's going on at work, talk about, I guess like being disappointed or being upset at something. Like I think people have this misconception of therapy being being something that you have to do it's only if you're going through a rough time. And
Right.
it's I would love that stigma to go away, because it's helped tremendously. Even for people that don't believe in it, it really is such an amazing tool. And to go off of that, journaling is one of the best things that I have figured out as like a self-help kind of thing. I know a lot of people are skeptical about self-help stuff, and rightfully so, because it's like if you don't have the right motivation, self-help books are just a book that you're listening to people
Right.
talk about, But there's always something positive that you can take away from any situation. And I think especially from journaling, from therapy, from trying self-help books or audiobooks, whatever it is, just being able to write down your thoughts and have that live somewhere, whether that be in a public eye or in a private space, it allows you to talk things out before you make rational decisions. It allows you to write all your thoughts out before you get to a place where you can't come back from. And if you get in an argument, it's don't don't say things. Don't say things you'll regret. You can write them down though. You can write down how you're feeling, and it allows you to also kind of take a step back again. Like we talked about earlier, taking a step back um is definitely a tool that I like to use as well. Is just to just be able to see things from a different perspective and try to put myself in someone else's shoes. Like, oh, I, I did this or I said this to someone, and be like, if they said that to me, how would I feel? And if I'm like, I don't really like that, even in my head, if it's not a big deal, if I wouldn't like that, then that's my accountability. I need to check myself. I need to make sure I'm doing things. I'm not being a hypocrite, but
Right.
sorry.
Yeah, you're good. Because I have a cheesy question coming up next anyway. So
Perfect. But yeah, so just basically just talking about the things, and then also finding the things that work for you. And that is probably the most important thing, is finding what works for you. Just because it works for me doesn't mean it's going to work for you. But you've got it. That doesn't mean give up. That doesn't mean like, oh, well, yeah, well, therapy's not for me then. Okay, well, then something else has to, because you can't go through life just bottling things up. You can't.
Yeah. No, I fully agree. And that's as someone that did it for a very long time myself before deciding therapy was the next step. The next cheesy question is, as we get close to the end of this as well, for you guys, what's it like to be happy? Like we're gonna play on the new song, like looking at life and maybe looking back at life to where you are now, or looking forward to where you want to be. What's it like to be happy?
I think for me, with everything that I kind of experience in my day-to-day life, the people that I interact with, the environments that I'm in, I come across so many different things. And having had the ability, to travel, to see, experience, immerse yourself in different cultures, all of this, I think part of happiness in a way is stability. It is feeling safe, not having to always constantly feel like you're in survival mode. And I think sometimes people that have that can take it for granted. Having resources at your disposal, being able to hey, something is wrong. I have a means to go fix it, because a lot of people don't.
Right.
A lot of people, it's like it can just be, it's just, life is just harder for them, whether it's not having the knowledge, the people, the infrastructure, all of that. So I think part of that attributes to, you know, finding happiness or being able to maintain that. But if we're talking on a spiritual level, on a fulfillment, a level of fulfillment, it's again being able to have conversations like this, talk to people, be open. And in some ways, man, I say this all the time. People are crazy enough to pay us money to come play music that, I wrote in my mom's basement or in a studio with friends. Like, that's insane to me. Stuff that you write down in a journal that are just personal thoughts or things that you wouldn't think that anybody would care about. It's like, no, we are all connected in a way. And it's like knowing that there are other people out there that we are in a similar position as you, haven't gone through it, but might go through it in the future, or just simply it's like, hey, we're just here to like kind of like commandeer ourselves and like guide ourselves throughout certain places in time. Like, there's a level of happiness of knowing that, again, you're contributing to something, you're contributing to that kind of circle of life, if you will. Of, I know that I've needed lots of things from many people at many different times, and being able to give that back, not only musically, but if it's just saying hello to the greeters at the store, if it's, giving somebody a couple bucks because they're down on their troubles, if it's what, just the small things, being able to add to this life, to
Right.
me, that to me is a level of true emotional happiness. To give when you can, to give selflessly, and then also recognize, hey, if I give, it's not an expectation, but it's more like, the hope is a strange word. I have an interesting relationship with it, but you're, in a weird way, you're like, hey, I'm just hoping that intrinsically, if I'm doing things like this, that I know I will be in need one day, and that somebody will see that from me and be like, hey, you know, life will give back to you. So,
Yeah, for sure. Tyler?
Um, for me, happiness is something that I will always chase. It is something that I don't think I will ever necessarily achieve. And I don't mean that in like in a dark way. I just mean that in
Right.
a my version of happiness is, yeah, like my version of happiness is, I think, having everything in your world go right. Nothing bad's happening, right? So that's not really achievable. However, it's still something that I will chase. And I think it's more of like changing the mindset to being able to find peace within everything, and
Okay.
finding peace in the um yeah, finding peace in being able to wake up and, like, I get to do this. Like, changing your mindset, like being able to look at things through a different lens. And I know I've brought that up a few times, but just like a different perspective. A lot of people would kill to be in the position that we're in. A lot of bands, have been around, especially our area, that, they're not, they don't make music anymore,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of local bands around our area that I mean, we're doing pretty well, but they stopped. And I think for me, and I mean, Damon already kind of like talked about it, just like we've gotten to see the freaking world. We've gotten to go to like Macedonia. First off, I had no idea that country even existed before we booked those shows. And it was exactly what you thought it was. It was just people were so excited that you were there. They didn't care who we were. They had no
Yeah.
idea who we were, honestly. But they were just like, "Oh, cool, music, awesome." And then we start playing, and we talk to people after, and being able to just like take a step back and realize like this is insane that we're here right now, and it is crazy that people are enjoying our music, are paying us to come, play in these countries, in these cities. And it's very easy to take that stuff for granted. And I won't lie to you, I did. I took the things that we have done in our band for granted because I was so wrapped up in my own personal life. And and the problem with that is when you let that affect you, you let that affect so many aspects of your life. And it's like I didn't find joy in performing. I still, I still showed up. I still loved what I was doing, but it's like I felt empty, and
Mm-hmm.
I had to figure out why that was. And that's because I was trying to chase something that's not attainable or not achievable. Um, or I was trying, I'm still chasing it, but like it was something that I was like my expectations were I have to get there.
Right.
And was I putting in the work? Absolutely not. I wasn't doing anything to get to that point. So my version of what it's like to be happy is being able to make the things in your life more attainable and more realistic. And once you start bringing your standards and your goals to a level that is actually like achievable, you're going to be a happier person. You're going to be easier to get along with. People are going to enjoy being around you because you have those moments where like um I don't know, like I guess there's I'm sure you've seen like sports
Mm-hmm.
things, and they win, they're up 3-0, 3-0, they have one game left, and you see everybody else smiling, but there's that one player locked in, whatever, it's like, oh, the job's not done yet. And for me, like, I guess that's why I'm not that person, right? Because I look at that like you have to have some joy in your life. You have to understand that, like, hey, you're doing good. That doesn't mean you let your guard down, but you can have moments of happiness while you're still
Right.
putting in the work, while you're still like, hey, well, job's not done yet. Yeah, it's not done, but we can at least like appreciate what we've accomplished already. And then like for tonight, and then tomorrow we lock back in, and it's like, um, but that is the thing. Some people can't do that, and that's why I think it's beautiful that people are different. I think it's beautiful that we have different personalities, um, different views, different perspectives, because I'm able to, I look at them like I couldn't be that person. And they would look at me and be like, I couldn't be him. And that's what's awesome is, again, what works for me doesn't work for them. And what works for them doesn't work for me. And when you stop comparing yourself to people and you stop comparing, their accomplishments, you're going to be a happier person because you're going to be able to find the joy in the things that you're doing and appreciate the moment, appreciate the journey. And that's what I'm choosing to do now instead of getting hung up on all the things that I can't control.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's great. And I think, again, good reminders for people that, you can, like what you just were referencing, like you can agree that the job's not done or that you're not the person you want to be yet or whatever, but that doesn't mean don't celebrate the things that have happened.
Yep.
I was talking to Matty Mullins a few years ago, and he had a quote that hit me really hard about, it's okay to have all these feelings. It's okay to be sad and angry and whatever. But when it's time to be happy, you're allowed to be happy. And that's something that, I wish 12-year-old Josh would have heard, is that like it's okay to be happy if you're supposed to be happy. For you guys, that cliche question, and we'll transition to the end here, but that cliche question, if you could go back to the kind of the darkest day for each of you and remind yourself of something or give yourself that little piece of advice, what do you think is the thing that you needed to hear from yourself at that moment?
Ooh, I would say it's just allow yourself grace to mess up. You don't have to carry shame, guilt. People are human beings. Human beings are not perfect, and mistakes don't define people. You can grow from them. It'll hurt, but at the same time, you know, sometimes that's you become the best version of yourself when you kind of go through something like go through pain, you go through adversity, and not saying that it's like if you gave somebody a map and say you have to go through this to get to this, would some people maybe take the road less traveled? Sure, but that's not the case. Like Tyler said, it's not a one size fits all for everybody. So I'd probably just tell myself, hey man, it might seem like it's the end of the world, but it's not. Just keep your head up, forgive yourself, allow other people that same, allow other people in, don't shut them out, and just keep moving because you'll be surprised at what's going to, come out of this.
Yeah. Tyler?
I mean, for me, the first thing I would do is, I mean, give myself a hug if I can. If I'm just talking, or telling myself something, yeah, just like be kinder to yourself, because when you expect other people to give you kindness and you're not giving yourself that, there's this thing that we like to call projecting, and you end up, being that way to someone else. You might be like, what is their deal? And then someone's like, you're one to talk, and you're like, what? And it's just being able to hang. Sorry, I just had a brain fart. Um, Being able to give yourself that moment of grace. I mean, just like what Damon said too, and just be kinder to yourself. Um, things will work out. Now they might not work out in a day. They might not work out in a week, a month, even a couple of years. It might take you a lot longer to get to where you want to be, but things do work out. They work itself out, and you know it's not the end of the world. Yeah, going through a breakup, it's not the end of the world. You're going to meet somebody that is probably better for you. Like that didn't work out for a reason, right? So I think just telling yourself that things are going to be okay. There are people that love you and care for you. Um, and you are good enough. You deserve to be here and you deserve to be happy. No matter the things that you've done, no matter how uh no matter how hard things get, or no matter how low you're feeling, that doesn't mean that you don't deserve happiness. That doesn't mean you don't deserve a good life. And I definitely wish that I would have had somebody tell me those things. But I didn't talk to people about those. So, that's kind of one of those things too. Like when I did start talking about it, what do you know? I have, I have the best friends in the world. My band is, I love them all dearly, and they've all given me, a lot of grace. They've given me a lot of love and have helped steer me in a better direction. And if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here talking with you guys. I don't think I would be in this band, because it's one of those things when you don't believe in yourself and you're not kind to yourself. Again, yeah, hurt people, and you don't care about other people other than yourself, even if you don't feel like that way. And I just hope that other people don't get to that point of feeling low and feeling um, like they're not going to be able to get out of that dark place, because you eventually will. It just might not be when you want it, but you just got to put in the work, got to put in the time. And I know if I would have heard that, I think I could have been in a better place before. But it's that's the past. I can't control that. All I can control is where I go from here.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, as we transition to the end here, the last time I saw you guys, you were opening for the Used in Indianapolis, which was dope as shit because I'm a huge Used fan, and I know you guys are as well. Without the one thing that we're not going to talk about, so that PR doesn't yell at us, what can fans expect in 2026? You know, for the rest of the year from you guys, touring. You know, obviously, again, don't get in trouble, but what the horizon is out there. Where do you guys see yourselves going in this year?
I mean, we have a co-headline tour this summer. Actually kicks off in about three or so,
Three
three and a half.
weeks.
Yeah, about 3.5 weeks. It's called The Art of Love and Power. Co-headline with our friends in Savage Hands. We'll have Kingdom Collapse and Set for Tomorrow and Sorry X on all the tour. Shortly after that, we go over to Europe to do a tour with a band called Unprocessed and this band called Daedric. And then beyond that, we do have a record coming. As far as like dates and all that stuff, it'll be pretty soon when people you be able to do the pre-orders and have some more new music out. We still have a lot to unveil before the year's end. So there's that, and then like I said, it's my boy, baby boy is due in October as soon as we get back from Europe. So I'll have my hands full
Yeah, yeah,
with all of that. But at least on the musical side, we got these two tours, got a new record, and we'll see what happens from there.
for sure. Tyler, are you getting a new cat at the same time so that Damien doesn't get all the attention?
No, 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 no. I think we got our hands full here. We got four. So
Wow. Yeah.
yeah, I'm good.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I'm stoked for you guys. Hope to see you out on the road soon. Always enjoy catching up with you and having these conversations. And I think, it's something that's very apparent throughout your music. You're always transparent and, telling stories that people can relate to and kind of see themselves in. I really appreciate that. And I think it goes a long way because it's becoming a more trendy thing, it feels like, but you guys have been doing it from the start and there's no trend to it. It's the authenticity, it's the realness behind those stories. So I just wanted to say thank you, as a fan as well. Thank you for putting yourselves out there and letting people connect with your stories in a way that is meaningful to them.
I appreciate you giving us a platform
Thank
to
you.
help deliver that message, man. It's a symbiotic relationship. It's all of us working in concert. So, we appreciate you as well. And hopefully, we can get. I don't think we come to Indy, but
Hey, as long
you
as
know,
it's within about 4.5 hours. I just drove up to Lansing the end of May and saw
Sure.
Vana over at Gruel Hall. So
Oh, I
I can
didn't see
get
you
there.
there.
Oh, were you there? Damn it. I should have
Yeah.
messaged you. I almost
Yeah.
did.
Yep. Yep. I was there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dang.
It was a
Yeah. That
dope
was that
show.
was a
So
great show. That was a great show. She's
yeah,
awesome.
it's insane. The girl's 5'5" and screams like nobody's business, man. It's nuts. So, but no, like, even if it's a hometown show, like, let me know. We can definitely work something out. So stoked for you guys. Like I said, really excited to see the growth that you've had since we've, been connected and talking and whatnot. So do your thing, stay safe in travels, all that. And I'll keep you guys posted on when this goes live and everything.
Awesome.
wonderful.
Thank you, man. Really appreciate it.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks.
Yep. Take care.
See you.